Hello everyone, and welcome to my ABCGH Spoilers channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Kristina Corinthos-Davis found herself in the bustling heart of Port Charles, where secrets simmered like Kelly's coffee and family ties coiled tighter than the ropes on the docks. Her brother, Michael, had always been the steady one in their tumultuous family, attempting to balance the legitimate world with the deep, wide shadows thrown by their father, Sonny. But Michael's life had just crumbled in ways that even Kristina, who had a history of rash decisions and heated clashes, couldn't understand. Willow Tait, the sweet nurse who had won Michael's heart and raised his baby WY as her own, had changed into someone unrecognizable. The custody battles, the accusations, the shooting that had left Drew came battling for his life. All of it hung over Willow like a dark cloud that refused to lift. She had been acquitted in the shooting, causing ripples of astonishment throughout the Corinthos clan, but her freedom had only strengthened her. She was now fighting for visitation and access to the children she believed Michael was unlawfully keeping from her, using any power she could find, including blackmailing Alexis with Scout-related threats. Kristina had initially watched from the sides, biting her tongue because Michael had urged her not to get involved. He constantly sought to shield his sisters from the worst of his mistakes. However, Kristina was not designed to sit on the sidelines. She was a Corinthian through and through, blood and temperament included. Willow walked into the cafe, where Kristina was catching up with Justinda, Michael's new confidant and possibly more, and the air tightened instantly. Willow's smile was too bright and deliberate. She talked about Alexis defending her in the next custody case before thanking Justinda for helping reunite me with my kids. The comments hit like a smack. Kristina felt a heat grow in her chest, the same heat that had driven several of her previous outbursts. Justinda squirmed uneasily, looking to Kristina for support. But Kristina had already risen to her feet, her voice low but firm. "You should probably focus on your own issues before you start dragging other people into your mess," Kristina replied, her gaze fixed on Willow. There was no prelude, no polite deflection from the reality. "You have a lot to answer for, Willow. Beginning with what you did to my brother." Willow's gaze wavered between surprise and defiance. She tilted her head like she used to do when portraying the victim so convincingly. "Your brother is keeping my children from me, Kristina. He's the one who turned everything into a war." Kristina went forward unfazed. The restaurant hub receded into a distant murmur, leaving only the two of them. Two women who had previously shared space in the same family circle, but now stood on opposite sides of a gulf. Michael's protecting those kids from someone who's proven she can't be trusted. "You shot Drew. You got away with it." "Fine. The jury said so, but that doesn't erase what you did. And it doesn't give you the right to waltz in here, acting like you're the wrong party." Willow's pupils dimpled. "You don't know what I've been through. You don't know the pain." "I know pain," Kristina interjected, her voice raising just enough to convey conviction without shouting. "I've lost babies. I've lost trust. I've lost pieces of myself. But I never took a gun to someone I claimed to love. I never used my own child as a weapon. That's what you're doing now, Willow. You're using WY and Amelia like pawns to hurt Michael, and I won't stand by and watch it." The words hung between them, firm and unbending. Justinda stretched out gingerly and touched Kristina's arm as if to pull her back, but Kristina shook her head. This was not about backing down. It was about drawing a line. Michael had spent years trying to be the greater person, compromising and negotiating, even if it meant losing his dignity. He had once loved Willow deeply, perhaps foolishly, and that love had blinded him to the fissures, which had become craters. Kristina recognized the threat for what it was, not only to Michael's custody rights, but also to his tranquility, future, and capacity to rebuild now that Willow had been acquitted and her aspirations were clearer than ever. Willow laughed in a short, bitter tone. "Protecting your brother? That's rich coming from you. You've caused your own share of chaos in this family." Kristina wasn't afraid to speak. "Yeah, I have, and I've owned it. I've gone to therapy. I've apologized. I've tried to make amends. What have you done besides point fingers and manipulate? You blackmailed my mother, Willow. You threatened to keep Scout away from Alexis just to get what you want. That's not a mother fighting for her kids. That's someone who's lost sight of everything that matters. The accusation was profoundly hurtful. Willow's composure broke for a moment, her lips pressed together in a narrow line. She looked around, conscious that all eyes were on them now. Waitstaff paused. Customers whispered. But Kristina was unconcerned about the audience. She cared about her brother, who had always supported her, even when she didn't deserve it. Michael had been by her side through her worst times following the fall that cost her daughter Irene, the cult entanglements, and everything else. Now it was her turn. I'm not going to let you tear him apart, Kristina said, her tone becoming almost serene, as if the storm had already broken. He's been through enough. The divorce, the accusations, watching you walk free after what you did to Drew. He's carrying all of it. And those kids, they need stability, not whatever game you're playing. If you really cared about WY and Amelia, you think about what's best for them, not what's best for your ego. Willow took a step back with a slight smile on her face. You think you're so righteous, Kristina, but you're just like the rest of them. Sonny's daughter, always ready to throw punches instead of talking. Kristina grinned little and sharply. Maybe, but I'm not the one who pulled a trigger. And I'm not the one using a little girl like Scout as leverage. That's low, even for Port Charles standards. Scout's mention was like a dart. Willow had crossed the line with Alexis by using access to the child as a bargaining chip, and Kristina would not forget it. The Corinthos-Davis dynasty valued family above all else. It was untidy, boisterous, and passionately loyal. Willow had previously been a part of it, but she had burnt those ties herself. Willow gathered her belongings, her movements jerking. This isn't over, she explained quietly. The hearing is coming, and I'll get my kids back. Kristina met her stare without blinking. Try but know this. If you come after Michael again, if you try to hurt him more than you already have, you'll have to go through me. And I'm not going anywhere. Willow turned and walked out, the door swinging shut behind her with a soft chime that felt anticlimactic after the intensity of the exchange. Kristina sighed, her hands quivering slightly as the adrenaline subsided. Jacinda stood beside her, waiting for a time before saying, You didn't have to do that, Jacinda stated softly. But thank you. Kristina shrugged, faking a little smile. Michelle's my brother. That's what we do. We stand our ground. Later that evening, Kristina discovered Michael at his apartment, the kids already asleep, and the area quiet save for the hum of the city outside. He looked exhausted with deeper creases around his eyes than she remembered. When she informed him what had happened, he did not scold or lecture. He simply grabbed her into an embrace that spoke more than words ever could. You didn't need to fight my battles, he said softly. Kristina drew back and looked up at him. Yeah, I did. Because you do the same for me. And because Willow's not going to stop unless someone makes her see the cost. Michael groaned, running his hand through his hair. I just want the kids safe. I don't want more war. I know, she replied. But sometimes standing your ground is the only way to keep what peace you have left. They sat together for a long time, discussing quietly about the hearing, Jacinda, and the uncertain road ahead. Kristina felt the weight of her words to Willow descend on her. Not regret, but resolution. She had meant everyone. Protecting Michael was more than simply devotion. It was instinct, the same instinct that had kept the Corinthos family alive for so many years. In the days that followed, murmurs traveled around Port Charles. Kristina had approached Willow directly and unapologetically. Some labeled it irresponsible, while others praised the unvarnished honesty. However, Kristina was not concerned about public opinion. It was about her brother, who had always believed in her, even when she questioned herself. Willow's way forward became more urgent and her movements bolder, but Kristina remained attentive. She checked in with Michael every day, offered to testify if necessary, and reassured him he wasn't alone. The custody hearing loomed like a thundercloud, but Kristina confronted it squarely, her resolve unflinching. Family wasn't perfect in Port Charles. It was broken, faulty, full of betrayals and second chances. But when it counted most, they stood together. Kristina had drawn a line in the sand, and she would not cross it again. Not for Willow or for anyone. Michael deserved that protection and vigorous defense. And in standing firm, Kristina rediscovered a part of herself that she had thought was lost, the part that battled out of love rather than hate. The battles will continue, as they usually did in this town of constant drama. But for now, in that calm time between siblings, there was a fragile peace formed in the crucible of conflict. Kristina had protected her brother not with plans or weapons, but with honesty and determination. In Port Charles, that was sometimes the most powerful shield of all. Kristina Corinthos didn't raise her voice as Willow entered the Metro Court lounge, and she didn't need to. The tension spoke for her. She sat stiff at a corner table, hands folded, gaze piercing and steady. Willow realized right once that this wasn't a friendly coincidence. This was a meticulously planned and timed clash. Willow halted, deciding whether to turn around. She did not. Running had never helped her before, and recently it had just made matters worse. She crossed the room, her heels softly clicking on the marble floor, and paused across from Kristina. "You want to see me?" Willow inquired, her tone courteous yet guarded. Kristina motioned to the unoccupied chair. "Sit. We need to talk." Kristina's face made Willow realize this wasn't an option. She sat with her hands folded in her lap, bracing herself. "This is about Michael, right?" Willow spoke quietly. Kristina pushed her lips into a narrow line. "Of course it is. Currently, everything revolves around Michael, especially in your case." Willow's jaw stiffened. "I don't understand why you're getting involved in my marriage." Kristina leaned forward, her eyes flaming. "I'm involving myself because my brother is being backed into a corner and you're the one holding the knife. That's not fair." Willow snarled, shocking herself with the edge in her voice. "You have no idea what I've been through." Kristina chuckled gently and without amusement. "Oh, I have an idea. I recognize manipulation when I see it." Willow stiffened. "Is that what you believe I am doing?" "Yes," Kristina replied without hesitation. "I think you're using Michael's guilt, his fear of losing his family, to get what you want." Willow's pupils lit up. "I want to marry. I want my family. How does this make me the villain?" "It makes you dangerous," Kristina yelled back. "When you start threatening to destroy his life if he doesn't comply." Willow stood swiftly, her face flushed with rage. "I never threatened him." Kristina rose to match her height, her voice firm yet fierce. "You promised him you'd take the kids. You promised to disclose things he had done. Willow, you know exactly which buttons to push." The silence between them was thick and heavy. Willow's shoulders dropped slightly, revealing the reality Kristina had uncovered. "You don't know everything," Willow continued, her voice growing softer. Kristina nodded once. "Michael isn't innocent in all of this. I never claimed he was, but he is my brother, and I will protect him." Willow's eyes welled up with tears, but she held them back. "Do you think I enjoy this? You think I enjoy battling with him?" "I believe you enjoy winning," Kristina said. "And right now, Michael is too exhausted to fight back." Willow averted her gaze, swallowing hard. She recalled late-night arguments, muttered accusations, and chilly silences. Michael maintains a faraway stare, his peaceful resignation. It stung more than she'd like to admit. Kristina lowered her tone, but not her posture. "You are hurting him, and I will not stand by and watch it happen." "So, what are you going to do?" Willow asked cruelly. "Threaten me?" Kristina shakes her head. "No, I'm going to warn you." Willow returned her stare. "About what?" "If you keep pushing him," Kristina said, her voice low and deliberate, "you'll lose him." Willow scoffed, but doubt flickered in her eyes. "You're wrong." "Am I?" Kristina asked. "Because I have seen Michael at his lowest. I've seen him blame himself for things that were not his fault, and I've seen you use it against him." Willow's hands trembled. "I'm fighting for us." "You're fighting for power," Kristina corrected. "There's a difference." The words lingered between them like a verdict. Willow fell back into her chair, feeling exhausted. "You don't understand it." I am afraid. Kristina observed her closely. For a brief instant, sympathy washed across her face. But she hardened again. Willow wiped her eyes, irritated with herself. Being scared doesn't give you the right to hurt my brother. What do you want from me? I want you to stop, Kristina stated simply. Stop exploiting the kids for leverage. Stop breaking up Michael's past mistakes to keep him stuck. If you want to fix your marriage, do so honestly. Or let him go. Willow giggled softly. You make it sound so easy. It's not easy, Kristina said. But it's right. Willow stood up again, this time slower and more composed. What if I don't? Kristina did not flinch. Then I'll make sure Michael understands he isn't alone. I'll make sure he has the strength to leave no matter how bad things get. That sounds like a threat, Willow remarked. It's a promise, Kristina said. They stared at each other, two ladies bound by the same man, and stood on opposite sides of a line. They didn't want to cross. I loved him, Willow whispered abruptly, her voice breaking. I still do. Kristina's expression softened just little. Then prove it. Love does not look like this. Willow turned and went away, her steps wobbly. Kristina watched her leave, her pulse beating, knowing this wasn't over. Later that evening, Kristina saw Michael in the Corinthos house, sitting alone in the living room, staring at nothing. When she entered, he forced a modest smile. Hey, he said. What's up? Kristina sat next to him, looking at his exhausted face. I ran into Willow today. Michael tensed instinctively. What did she say? What happened to you? Kristina replied gently. Michael moaned and rubbed his temples. The same old battle. Kristina's temper increased, but she kept her voice cool. You don't have to live like this. Michael's eyes were lifeless. I don't know how to make it stop. You don't, Kristina insisted. You determine the bounds, and if she can't respect them, you leave. He shook his head. The kids will be okay, Kristina interrupted. Because you are a good father, and I'm not going to let anyone convince you otherwise. Michael swallowed hard. She says, I'll lose everything. Kristina clasped his hand. You will not lose me or Sonny or Carly, and you will not lose yourself until you continue to let her tear you down. Michael's eyes welled up with tears, and he made no effort to hide them. I just wanted my family. I know, Kristina answered softly. But sometimes protecting your family means protecting yourself. He leaned back and closed his eyes. Have you threatened her? Kristina smirked slightly. Michael laughed softly. I warned her. That sounds like you. She clasped his hand. I got you no matter what. Willow stood alone in the nursery, staring at the toys scattered on the floor. Kristina's words rang in her head, harsh and unrelenting. Love does not look like this. She fell into a chair, finally allowing her tears fall. For the first time, she wondered if she had actually lost Michael, not to another woman or betrayal, but to the very dread she had been using to keep him close. The lines were drawn as Port Charles fell silent for the night. Kristina had taken an unwavering and aggressive stance, determined to protect her brother from any storm that threatened to ruin him, even if the storm was the woman he once loved the most.